y'all, it's Alodie at Loney. I'm a teacher at Shine Yoga Studio. I'm currently teaching from one of our auxiliary studios, my dining room. So thank you for joining us through all of these videos and supporting the studio as we've been not able to be together physically. So today we're going to do a bit of a mixed level class. We'll have lots of options to make it a little more challenging or bring it down a little bit based on your energy level, just doing whatever you feel like is good for your body today and taking care of yourself. So if anything hurts or anything is uncomfortable in a way that feels painful, just back it down a little bit, take child's pose. This is your practice, and I can't even see you in child's pose. So you can be there the whole time, and just if that's what you need today, I encourage you to do that. True story, I've done that a couple times myself this week, watched the class and been in child's pose or eating lunch at the same time. So you do you. So we're going to start with just a little bit of centering and breathing together. First, just cultivating a deep breath, and then we'll do a little bit more of a structured breath together. That's designed to just calm the nervous system, down-regulate our body, just tap into some of that rest and digest state that we could probably all use a little bit of right now. And we'll do plenty of movement as well. So that said, before we start, if you don't have props, I'm going to let you know what we'll be using. We'll be using a yoga strap a little bit later. You can use a scarf for that or a regular belt, but you can set that aside for now. And also, if you have a block or two, that would be great. If you don't have a block, looking around the house, I found these little photo boxes, size of shoe boxes. They're fairly sturdy. I taped one, and it's a pretty good substitute for a block. I also have a blanket. I have a couple blankets I'm sitting on. And what I've done, instead of using a bolster, is I've taken a couple yoga blankets and folded them in half again and just stack those up to create enough height for me to sit on to allow my knees to kind of fall down away from the hips, so I have some openness through this space here. So go ahead and take a moment to grab any props you would like. If you want to have something to sit up on, some blocks, so you can pause the video to do that. Last thing you might want, if you need a little help with balancing, is a chair or something to hold on to. I have a sideboard here, so grab anything that would make you feel more successful in balancing, because we'll be doing a little bit of that today. All right, so having gathered everything, let's go ahead and just take a comfortable seat. By that, just taking that moment to, again, give yourself that height, give yourself enough space that you can just sit comfortably here for a few minutes, not a long time, but do take that moment to find that comfortable seat that works for you. Cross-legged, you could be sitting on a chair, as I said. And then once you've found that seat, you can close your eyes or keep a soft gaze, whatever works best for you. Just start to notice your breath. And as you notice your breath and bring your awareness to your breath, this is hopefully going to help you just step out of all those things of the world, all those thoughts, all that information that's coming in at such a quick pace that's always changing. And much of it we can't do much about, and that can be for me, very stressful. And one of the practices of yoga is to know these things, to accept what's going on, and know that we don't have a lot of control. And how do we be okay with that? And one of those practices of being okay with what is just being in the present moment completely. Not in the future, not in the past, but right here in this moment. And bringing the awareness to the flow of your breath helps you keep really anchored into this moment we have right now. And just notice your breath, notice the air as it flows in through the nostrils, nice and cool, and out out through the mouth or the nostrils. The air is a little warmer. Actually just watch your breath coming in, filling the lungs, expanding the lungs, expanding the rib cage. And as you exhale, watching the breath flow out. Continue focusing on that breath and hopefully arriving a little more fully here with each breath. Letting the breath fill the belly, so let the belly be soft and the breath can expand the belly, expand the sides, expand the back. Let the shoulders rise up with the breath. And as you exhale, just find a little bit of release, a little bit of settling in, getting a little heavier. As I inhale, I can feel that expansion. As I exhale, I can let the shoulders just soften down away from the ears a little bit. Let the collarbones broaden. Let the knees soften down. Let the hips stay nice and heavy. Feel yourself lengthening up through the crown of the head so the spine starts to lengthen. From the tailbone all the way through the crown of the head. Imagine that line of energy running from the earth below and up into the sky above. And take your awareness to your base, to those two sit bones right at the base of your pelvis, and just slightly shift side to side, front to back, until you feel yourself completely stacked right on those bones. It's evenly front, back, side to side. And imagine those two bones have roots growing deep into the earth, going through the floor, through the earth, the crust of the earth, and all the way down into the center. It's creating a real stability for yourself. We find that stable base, and from that foundation, then we can add movement from a place of stability, of a center. Just take a few more rounds of breath just together, so as you've taken these last moments to breathe, starting also to cultivate a deeper breath, so maybe that inhale can be a little bit longer, and that exhale can start to lengthen in equal measure. Getting an even breath, deep and full, and again expanding the belly, the chest, the back. Let that breath fill every part of you. A couple more deep full rounds of breath before we join in a little bit of a more structured breath. Inhaling completely, exhaling fully. One more inhale and complete exhale. Go ahead and blink your eyes open. We're going to do a little more breath work, so we'll be here for another moment if you'd like to uncross and recross your legs or adjust your seat in any way. I'm going to do a breath that's designed to cultivate a little more relaxation in the body, so it'll involve a longer exhale than inhale, and it's going to be a three-part breath. We're going to inhale for a count of 4. We're going to hold the breath for a count of 4, and then we're going to exhale for a count of 6. And this breath, again, will just help down-regulate your nervous system a bit. And it was inspired by my meeting yesterday with Meredith Ahmad. She did an embodied meditation on Zoom, and it's something she did that I really enjoyed, so I thought I'd share it with you. So again, I'll lead us through the first couple rounds, and then I'll let you do it on your own for a few rounds. And if this causes any tension, just return to that deep, full breath that you've already cultivated. So you can keep your eyes closed or keep the gaze soft. Take a couple rounds of breath together before we begin. Deep, full inhale. Deep, full exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then we'll begin inhaling for a count of 2, 3, 4. Hold 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue on your own, at your own pace, just for a few more rounds, maybe 3 more rounds. Again, you can alter any of those counts to suit your own breath pattern. Let's finish this last round. After that next exhale, return to that deep, full, complete breath with that even inhale and even exhale. And just notice, take a moment to check in with your physical body. Notice if there's any, maybe you feel a little more centered, a little more present, maybe a little energy buzz, whatever it is, and maybe you feel nothing different, which is also totally fine. Part of yoga is just noticing without judging, good or bad, just being with. Okay. Let's go ahead and open your eyes, and we'll add a little bit of movement. First, let's just take a moment to roll out the wrists. Maybe you've been doing a lot of this, not a lot of this. Maybe the remote's in one hand, the phone's in the other hand. Whatever it is, let's just roll it out. And then take a moment just to rub your hands together. Don't touch our face or anything, but rub your own hands together and just warm them up and give yourself a little like hand washing, but without the practicality of it. Just to let yourself feel your skin touching your skin and get that connection and that warmth of skin-to-skin contact. Just rubbing your hands, giving yourself a little bit of that affection. And we'll add a little movement from our seat here, so if you need to adjust yourself at all or move, you can. And take the right fingertips down, extend the left arm up, keep rooted through that left sit bones, and just take a nice little side bend here. Breathing into that whole left side. And then take it back to the other side. You can be on fingertips or flat palm. Extend, find length first, and then little side bends to the left. Keep rooted through that right sit bone. And you can take the gaze wherever you like. You can also just move the head around, which is something Wendy often encourages that feels good for me. And then go side to side a few times, just moving with your breath, inhaling up, and exhaling as you take that little arc. And as you do, just notice the differences side to side. And this is starting to just move with the flow of your breath, so your movement might look a little different than mine, and should. Let's finish this last round. And release the arms down. I'm going to do a little bit more movement from here. I'm going to turn to the side. So from this grounding through the hips, just reach forward a little bit. Walk the fingertips forward and tilt the pelvis forward a little bit as you reach your heart forward as well. Feel the broadness across the collarbones, move the head a little bit. And then walk the hands back behind you on fingertips or flat palms. Open the heart. Maybe you can look up a little bit. Trying to open across the front of the heart, getting the shoulders opened up a little bit as well. You drop the chin a little bit. Move the neck if that feels good. And then we're going to come back forward, and this time you're going to come all the way to hands and knees. So you can move aside your blankets, anything you're using there. And then let's just have our blocks nearby too as we need them. Let's do a little bit of cat-cow from this all fours position. So you can take a moment just to spread the fingers and stack the shoulders over the wrists, the hips over the knees, and we'll come into that pelvic tilt. Inhale, drop the belly, tilt the tailbone up, look up a little bit, and exhale, press the earth away, round, pull navel to spine, cat back. Just keep moving with the pace of your own breath. Just tilting the pelvis, and the spine becomes that natural extension of the pelvic tilt. And this can be big or little. But the main thing is you're moving with your own breath and in a way that just lets you feel the articulation of your spine. Notice if there are any areas that seem to be a little more resistant to movements. Without trying to change anything, again, just notice. And after this next cat back, come back to neutral tabletop. I'm going to walk the hands out in front of you. You're going to keep the hips where they are. Just walk the fingertips forward and come into puppy. Hips back, little lift through the armpits, soften the heart. Ears in line with the biceps. Long side bodies. We're going to take that puppy and walk it over to the right. So you can take both hands to the right, pull the left side back, breathe into the left side. Move the head or just keep the ears in line with the biceps evenly. And then go back to the other side. And breathe here. And walk that puppy all the way back to center. And then walk the hands back towards you, coming back to that neutral tabletop. So we're going to walk the hands forward again, about 6 to 8 inches, so my hips come a little bit forward. I'm going to take the right hip crease, I'm going to take it all the way over to the right of the heels, just getting a little bit of a hip stretch. So my hands are going to stay planted. This is a little slippery right now for me for some reason. And you're going to come forward and you're going to take those hips all the way over to the left. Same thing. Pulling that left hip back. Breathing here. You can do that one more time to each side, holding to the right. Rocking forward, taking it to the left. And then coming forward again, and now you're going to just do some nice hip circles. So they can be big or little, circling the hips in a way that feels good. And again, you're moving with your breath. So you might inhale forward and exhale as you make that circle. That's what I'm doing. It may feel more natural to do a different breath pattern. And go the other way. A few circles here. And then just reaching straight back, hips towards the heels for this closed knee child's pose shape. And then coming back up. I'm doing one more thing here on all fours. So keep the hands now under the shoulders. We're back to neutral table. Extend the right leg straight back, toes under, and just reach through that heel and get a nice stretch through the calf. You can rock a little bit or just hold and press. Use your arms to help you press. And then you take this right leg across the body. We're going to cross the midline, keep the toes under, and lengthen that whole right side away, curling to the left side. And then replace that knee to meet the left. And let's take second side. Toes under, reach, press. Keep the neck long. And crossing this midline, getting that nice side body stretch. Some people feel this more on the right side, some on the left. in this shape. So just, you might shift your hips back and forth to see what feels best for you. And then come back to center and bring the knee down. We're gonna make our way into down dog from here. So as you're ready, just keep those hands planted at the top of your mat. Tuck the toes, hips up and back, and find your first downward facing dog. Just hold here for a moment. I'm gonna grab a towel because my hands are slipping. Luckily the kitchen's right there. So as you come into your down dog, just take a moment to set your foundation. Fingers spread wide, toes under, feet are hip width, and then taking any little movements here that feel good. Bending the knees to extend the spine even longer. Maybe re-straightening the legs, maybe keeping them bent. Wherever you can find the most length through your spine. We're going to start to walk to the top of the mat. Take lots of little steps, stretching through the backs of the legs as you come forward to a forward fold at the top of your mat. And again, keeping a deep knee bend is really nice, especially as we're beginning. And especially if you're tight in the legs, as I am, to allow your spine to release completely. So as much of a knee bend as you need here. Everyone's going to be different. You can also have your blocks here to put under your hands. And if it feels good, take those opposite elbows and hang here in ragdoll. You can even bend one knee and then the other. Usually that feels good for me. And then release the bind of the elbows, hands to thighs, come all the way up. Let's come to the top of your mat and just find mountain pose. So take a moment to check your feet, say they're right under your hips, hip points, not the outer hips. Align the knees, the ankles, sitting up tall, reaching through the crown of the head, soften the shoulders down, hands together in front of your heart. Just check in with your breath. Good. As you're ready, let's inhale, reach the arms wide and high. And as you exhale, let's bring the palms straight down. Then we're going to take them back up. And we're going to come back to the sides. Let's reach wide and high again. Bring it down, bring it up, and down to the sides. Just moving the wrists as we go as well. So we're swiping them down, bring the fingers in, and back to the sides. Let's do that one more time. Reach up, bring it down, bring it up, and release it to the sides. Good. Let's interlace the fingers, press the palms away, and extend the arms to the sky. And as you extend the arms up, if you tend to thrust the hips as I do, just bring that back, low ribs down, and maybe the arms don't go back as far, that's fine. Open up the palms, and then if it feels good, you can take some side bends here. Those side bends can have a little bit of a diagonal reach as well, if that feels good. Just moving in a way that feels good to you. Good. And release the arms down and just roll out the shoulders. One at a time, both together. Go both ways. Good. And let's reach the arms up again. We'll do another side body stretch. Turn the right palm out, grab the wrist, and take a nice side bend here. So it's like we did earlier, but now we're giving ourselves an assist of stretching that side even longer. Keep grounding through that right side, that right foot. Gaze can go anywhere that feels good. It can move as well. And then again, other side. Extend tall, lean over. Breathe into that whole left side. Good. And reach up and release the arms down. Start to move a little bit more. Let's have your blocks at the front of your mat as we begin. So you have them there if you need them. I use them for forward bend and half lift, so I'll be using those if you'd like to have those as well. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, let's waterfall down this first time. Bend the knees, release the head, let the hands come down, and shake it out. As you inhale, let's come up halfway. So you're going to extend the spine. Hands can be to shins. Some yogis will have them on the earth. You're trying to find a neutral spine. So you still have that little low back curve, extend through the crown of the head, and I have to come up pretty high to get that. Even blocks for me is nice here. Again, some people can be hands to earth. You might be up higher here, hands to thighs or a chair. And just breathe here. I'm going to toggle back and forth between the full forward bend and half forward bend. So as you exhale, just start to hinge forward again, fold in. Inhale brings you up again to that halfway lift. And exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Just keep going a couple more times with your breath. Again, when it's flowy like this, you don't need to worry about exact alignment. It's more about how it feels. Next time you exhale, let's plant the hands and we'll step all the way back to plank pose. And this can be high plank as I'm in, or you can be down on the knees in a low plank, a knee plank. You're going to lower all the way down to belly, nice and slow. Keep the elbows in close as you lower. Good. And come all the way to your belly. I'm going to turn the other way. And here's where my towel is. We're going to go through a little bit of a cobra. We're going to do it with arms pretty wide. So take your arms actually wider than your mat on fingertips, so lots of space for the shoulders. And my hands are even a little bit in front of my shoulders. And as you inhale, we're going to lengthen the heart forward, come up just a little bit, and exhale, release right back down. So I'm using the strength of my back rather than the use of my arms to come up and down for this little back bend. Again, moving with your breath. Everything's pretty still except for this movement in the upper back, and the neck becomes an extension. Let's do one more. And releasing back down. I'm going to press back to child's pose. Bring your hands right under your shoulders to support you and help yourself come back. Knees wide, hips can release towards the heels. Arms can extend for extended puppy, or you can take a little, make a little pillow. Let your head rest somewhere. Let's take a couple rounds of breath here in child's pose. Breathe into the broadness of your back. Breathe into your belly, which is right between your thighs maybe. You can maybe even feel that expansion of the breath. Just come home for a moment. Good. We're going to come back up and make our way back to that downward facing dog as you're ready. We're planting the hands, toes tuck, hips up and back, thighs towards the back of your mat. And just breathe here. Take the right leg up and back. Slipping, so just a moment. Let's take the right leg up and back for three-legged dog. My hip's going to stay square at first, and just take a couple rotations of that ankle. Bend the knee, and if it feels good, you're going to start to open the hip. Let the heel drop behind you a little bit. Stay grounded through both hands. And then re-square that hip. We're going to step all the way forward and through to a low lunge. So you can drop that back knee, and I have a double mat for padding, but if you want extra padding, I encourage something under the knee, a blanket or a towel. And just get steady here first, so hugging everything into the midline, hug muscle to bone, and then come on up. Pause here and get steady, hands to thigh. And just take a deep breath. Lengthen up through the crown of the head. Keep the pelvis neutral, you're not overdropping. Little engagement, and extend the arms up. Find lots of length. Gaze can stay straight ahead or it can go up a little bit. I'm going to take a bind behind, so just interlace the fingers, the knee, elbows can stay bent, or you can start to straighten the arms. Again, just broadening across the front of the heart. And then if it feels good, you can start to lean back a little bit as those hands slide down. And breathing here. We're going to take a forward fold. So as you start to hinge at the hip crease, taking the right shoulder towards the right knee, and those hands can come away from the back a little bit. Breathe here. And start to come up. And release the hands to either side of the front foot. And we're going to come into lizard. I'm just going to change to face you here. Have a block nearby. So you're going to take that right foot out to the outer edge of your mat. So you have lots of space for the chest to be right inside that inner thigh. And my knee's still pretty much tight in here to my bicep. And you might just stay here. So this is a hip opener. This may be plenty of sensation for you. If you want to go a little further, and as you've been here for a moment, that's where the blocks can be really nice. You can start by coming just elbows to, this is the highest setting for the block. You might come into it a little deeper. Again, for any in-between stage, you can also create pretty much any height you like with two blocks. So there are so many different options. Usually I end up kind of here, is nice for me. And some yogis might come all the way down to forearms to floor. Just breathe here, wherever you are. Notice the sensation in the hips, and for some people, hanging out here is just pure heaven. Some can't wait to come out. So just be where you're at and acknowledge that. Again, without judging. And if anything hurts or is pinchy, please come out or back out of it a bit. You can always come up to arms again. We're going to go ahead and make our way out of this lizard pose. You can set those blocks aside. Wiggle that foot all the way back, and we're going to step back to plank pose. So find plank. And again, we're going to lower all the way down to belly. And we're going to take that flowy cobra again. So fingers wide. Come up, inhale, exhale, release. Do that 2 more times. And releasing, pressing back, downward facing dog. And find your down dog, either moving or staying steady. And setting up for the second side. So we'll take left leg up and back. We'll open the hip, let that heel drop behind you. Feel that stretch in the front of the hip. And resquaring the hip, let's take it forward to low lunge, second side. Having your blocks nearby, and then hugging everything in, coming on up. Getting steady here. Let's take that interlace behind. Palms can stay open like a little basket, or you can start to bring the palms together. Lean back, maybe look up. Breathe wherever you are. And then let's bring that shoulder forward. And maybe those arms can start to lift a little bit. I've been noticing, watching on video, that I seem to hyperextend my elbows a lot. So a little softness in the elbow. Sometimes it's interesting to see what we're doing when we don't realize we're doing. Good. Let's start to release the arms. You can take again that wiggle that foot out to the outer edge of the mat, have your blocks. And this side may feel quite a bit different, so instead of going right to that place you were at the first side, just take a moment to check in and see how this side's feeling. And then take that time to ease into it, breath by breath. And that next layer of sensation as you come down a little bit lower. And as you take a few rounds of breath there, maybe you create a little more space to come into it a little bit deeper. Sometimes when I'm here too, I like to rock a little bit, taking that knee back and forth, especially if there's a kind of a space that feels restricted. Sometimes that helps. So you can always move or hold based on how you're feeling. Let's take a little more time here to open this hip. Find that last bit of sensation if you want to go a little bit deeper, that last edge for you. And then let's take that foot all the way back and around. We're going to come back to plank pose. High plank or knee plank. Push the earth away, nice and broad. Hips are in line with the shoulders, not overdropping. And lower all the way down. We're going to take Shalabhasana, locust pose, and take another back bend. We take that interlace we just took behind the back. Take it over, so different fingers on top. Actually, that hurts my wrist, so I'm going to go back. Roll the shoulders back and start to reach back as you lift the heart. And then if it feels good, lift the feet. Little point and flex of the toes, long tailbone, lots of space. Use your breath. Let the neck be a natural extension, so I'm not looking up too much and I'm not looking down, just nice and long neck. Breathe here. And go ahead and release and just take a little rest. So you can make a pillow for your chin or your forehead. Take the feet wide for a moment for crocodile. Let the belly be soft. And use this time of belly into earth to really breathe into the belly so you can feel the feedback of the earth as you breathe in. And as you exhale, just let yourself settle and release. Just take another breath here. We're going to come back into down dog. You can bring those feet back in line with the hips, either pressing up through full plank or coming to table and then to down dog. So if you're working full plank, coming up all in one piece with a big exhale, press away and downward facing dog. Just hold here for a moment, your down dog. Breathing, walking it out or holding steady. We're going to take the right leg up and back again. We step into high lunge this time. So right leg can step all the way forward and keep that back heel up. And we're going to come up hands to thigh for high crescent lunge. So my front knee is pretty much right over my front ankle and knees aligning with that second toe mound. Hips are as square as I can keep them, so both hip points pretty even. If you're feeling steady here, go ahead and extend the arms up. I'm going to add a little bit of a balance challenge here. So what I'm going to try and do is shift my weight forward and come through to lift the left knee into a standing leg raise. So that may be a couple steps for you, but if we can do it together, let's see if we can make it a little bit flowy. Let's bring the hands to the hips. Start to lean forward let that left toe get a little bit lighter, then maybe you can bring that leg forward all the way into standing leg raise with this knee at 90 degrees. So a little bit of a balance. Again, you can be tapping down and up or just holding here. Find your breath, find your stability. Set your gaze on something that's not moving in front of you is very helpful. And breathe. Good. Now keeping this hip hinge, this hip from lifting up, this left hip, start to bring that knee up. See how far you can bring it in without lifting that hip, and then see if you can grab the leg somewhere, either behind the thigh, maybe the shin. Wobbles are good. Then maybe if you want more challenge, as you hug in, you can start to walk the gaze up. It's a little more challenging. Breathing here. Good. Go ahead and bring the gaze forward, release the knee. We're going to step all the way back to that high plank, so reach that leg right back. High plank, reach up, high lunge, reach up. Exhale, bring the hands down. High plank. We're going to lower either all the way down for cobra, or you can go to low plank and then to up dog, your choice. And exhale, tuck the toes, back, downward facing dog. Do that same thing on the second side. So left leg extends, bring it through, high crescent lunge. Take a moment to get even here, pull, scissor the thighs together. Use your breath to get steady. Find a point in the horizon to set your gaze on. Extend the arms up. Get tall, maybe a little back bend. We're going to bring it through for that balance challenge again. Start to hinge forward, load that front leg. Back toes can get light. Maybe you take a few steps along the way. And standing leg raise. This right hip wants to hitch up a little more than my left did. I'll just find stability here. So we're trying not to prevent this little hitch up and keep that down. As you can, start to bring that knee in closer. Maybe you can find a bind here. Hug it in tight. For additional challenge, you can look up. You can be doing all of this while holding onto a wall or a chair or a counter as well. Some days are balancing days, some days are not. Good. We're going to release that. We're going to try and step it all the way back through high crescent lunge. Reach up. And exhale, plant the hands, step back, plank pose. Coming down through your vinyasa, lowering all the way down or halfway, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And just find your down dog, pause here for a moment. Working it out. Let's take 5 rounds of breath. You get a drink of water. Let's all meet back in down dog if you've been in child's pose or off somewhere else. Good. Now we're going to come back to plank pose and lower all the way down. We're going to take Sphinx pose. So come up so the elbows are right under the shoulders. My hands are in line with the elbows and shoulders. And use the elbows to isometrically pull back, hands to pull back so that heart can broaden between the shoulders. Look right in front of you. Tailbone long so there's no pinching in the low back. You can always walk those elbows out a little bit if you need to. I'm going to take a quad stretch from here. So let's take that right forearm parallel and then reach back, grab that left ankle. And if you can't get that ankle, you have that strap nearby, you can also come to the side and do this on your side. Get the same stretch. So find that thigh stretch in a way that works for you. Breathing wherever you are. Just pulling that heel in towards your bum. I'm going to release that side, and we'll do the same thing second side. And this side might be different, so maybe you can, this side is a little easier for me to grab. Breathe into that sensation, let that knee lengthen away from the hip as you pull that heel in. You can have that top of that foot holding in. I like to flex my ankle, so whatever feels good. And go ahead and release. I'm going to come back into a tabletop, so bring the hands right under the shoulders. And just set right up into your neutral table, stacking the shoulders, stacking the hips over the knees. We're going to do a little bit of stability work for our back and a little core work as well. So we're going to take the right leg straight back as we did earlier. Keep the toes down, extend the left arm, keeping the hand right in line with the shoulder, and then the right leg as well, if you can. So we're trying to create one long line of energy from that foot through that hip. Hips are square through the fingertips. Neck is long. We're just going to hold here and breathe. This is going to help just build some strength for our back, some endurance. Take another breath, extending. Now we're going to take a little crunch in. So we're going to inhale, extend. Exhale, bring knee to elbow. And do that 2 more times. Extend. Knee to elbow. Extend. Knee to elbow. Extend. Hold. Breathe. And release. Good. And shake it out for a moment. My hands are very slippery. Good. Let's do the second side. Left leg back. Right arm extends. And then left leg. And again, everything, you see a lot of this in this pose. So keep that left hip point straight down. Lift that inner thigh. Extend. Open the fingers. Open the toes. A little bit of belly engagement to help stabilize. Neck's long. Breathe. Breathe. Keep breathing. Reach. We're going to take that crunch work in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. 2 more times. Use your breath. Extend and hold. And hold. And release. Good. And shake it out. Notice the right side and the left side. Hopefully the back's feeling pretty good. I'm going to add on a little bit here. So if your wrists start to get sore, we've been here for a moment, you can always come on to a fist. Or for this, it won't really work to be on your elbows for the next thing we're doing. So just take care of your wrists in the way that works for you. I'm going to take this left leg out and I'm going to kickstand it out a little bit. And when you keep the left hand planted and start to open, extend the right leg long, take the right foot parallel to the edge of the mat and open up to the sky. I'm going to turn and face you the other way. So we're kind of in this modified shape here. You can turn the palm down and reach long so the bicep comes alongside the ear for this nice long side body stretch. And you can look down, you can look up, you can move the neck around, palms down, and then take the arms straight up. And if you want to play with a little modified half moon, go ahead and elevate that top leg. Can't really remember what side I'm on anymore, or day. And if you want to add on here, you can maybe reach down, grab that ankle, open up for a bind. Keep the tail long, make sure the low back feels okay here. Then we're going to release, reach up. I'm going to come right to the other side, so just go ahead and bring it all the way back down to table. Get steady here. I'm going to go to the second side. So now my right leg's going to kickstand out. I'm going to start to open it up. I'm going to switch because I already did this side, so you guys stay where you're at. And again, let's extend that top arm, long side body. You can look wherever it feels good. Hand should be right under the shoulder for support. Maybe you can start to roll the heart open. And then extending that, I like to reach the arm straight to the sky again before I lift that leg. And then again, if you want to play with that bind, you might even bring the knee in towards you to get the ankle, and then you can open it up. Let that shoulder roll back. Open the heart, little back bendy. Good. Let's go ahead and release that and come all the way down to all fours. Take a moment in child's pose. Just a moment to rest and reset. Take the knees wide, hips back, and rest your head somewhere. You could also be in down dog instead if that feels better for you. Take a breath or two there. Take another breath in child's pose. And then we're all going to meet in down dog. So if you're not there already, take those hips up and back. Find your Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. You're going to take the right leg up and back, and we step the right foot through to the right wrist again. And this time we're going to come to warrior two. So spin that back leg down as you windmill up, that back heel down. And find your warrior two. So bringing that front knee so it's in line with that second toe mound. My heel and arch are aligned, and this back blade edge of my foot is either parallel to the edge of the mat or slightly, toes are slightly in, just to help that inner thigh rotate back. Extend the arms. And just see that you're right in the present, not in the future, not in the past. Right here in the present. Set your gaze over that front middle finger. Come into exalted warrior, turn that front palm up, reach up. Back fingertips touch the back thigh. And then let's bring forearm to thigh, setting up for Ardha Konasana, side angle pose. Let's come back to that first arm variation that we just did while we were on our knees. We're going to extend that bicep alongside the ear for a nice long side body stretch. Fingers spread open, extension as if you have an extension from that outer blade edge through your hip, through your armpit, through the fingertips. And then we're going to reach the arm to the sky. We're going to add a different arm variation. So from here, you're going to we're going to open the shoulder a little bit more. You're going to rotate that palm back. Start to corkscrew that arm behind you. You might just stay here, rolling that shoulder back. Maybe you can start to creep those fingertips more towards that front hip crease. Just see where it works for you. You can also have that hand flat, just rolling that shoulder back. Look down, look up, where it feels good. And extend that arm to the sky again. We're going to use the strength of the legs to press ourselves back up to exalted warrior. And then back to warrior two. Good. Let's go ahead and just bring those feet to face forward. Come to wide angle, a wide-legged straddle My feet are really slippery today, so I'm still keep sliding out, but I'm just working with it. All right, we're gonna hinge forward to a forward fold from here. So feet as wide as you like. You wanna keep them pretty much parallel to the skinny edges of your mat. So I have a nice long spine here. Before I fold, I wanna find that long neutral spine. And you can stay here, or you can start to walk the hands out in front of you for a wide-legged down dog. If you want to turn the fingertips back and come to a deeper fold, go ahead and release the crown of the head more towards the earth. Just be wherever feels good for you right now. You can move a little or you can hold. If you're folded in, start to come back up to that neutral table back. Hands to hips, come all the way up. Good. I'm going to go into the second side. We're just going to come right from here for warrior two. Set up, extend the arms. Check that back foot. Mine's sliding, but try and keep it parallel. And that front knee aligns right over that pinky toe mound, second pinky toe mound. Exalted warrior, reach up and back. And exhale, Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. I'm going to reach that arm long alongside the bicep, alongside the ear, long line of energy. Breathe, just enjoy that stretch. I'm going to do that same variation here with the arm. Work through that arm behind, bring it behind you. If you like to take the bind here and that's in your practice, you could start to reach under and bind the fingers. When I do that, I lose a lot of my openness of my heart, so I'm just going to stay right here and work my opening up a little higher without that full bind. That's fun too, but just breathing wherever you are. And let's release that, extend the arm back up to the sky. And this time we're going to come to plank, so just go ahead and bring that back heel up, set back, plank pose. Pause here, and let's hover all the way down. And just flip the feet. Take a little rest. Wiggle out the hips. We're gonna come onto our sides. So come onto your right side. We're gonna bring the elbow right under the shoulder. So my hands facing straight ahead, and we're going to take that top foot, this is my left foot, over, and we're going to come into a modified side plank. So from here, I'm going to press into that top foot, help to lift the hip. This is my modified side plank. This is the first step. I might just stay here with this stability. I'm still working to lift that hip as high as I can. Maybe you can extend the arm to the sky. That'll take one support away and make it a little more challenging. If you're happy here and you want to amp it up a little bit, you can always stack those feet and come into full Vasisthasana, side plank. Breathing wherever you are, big lift, one more breath, 2 more rounds of breath, and let's go ahead and release back down. We're going to come right to the other side, so you can just roll through center. You can go straight to full side plank, or you can come through that modified version. Work wherever you are is where you want to work today is exactly right. Maybe full side plank. Breathing here. And we're going to go ahead ahead and come out of it, so you can roll all the way to plank or come down first, the fine plank pose. I want to go through either straight to down dog if you want to go through your vinyasa, lowering down all the way halfway, back bend of choice, and downward facing dog. And it's fine down dog. As always, you can stay and hold still, or you can move a little bit. I'm sliding all over the place, so there's no stillness here for me today. And that's okay. Good. Look towards the top of your mat. You're going to come to the top of the mat, so you can either walk or you can play with a little jump. Forward fold. Come up halfway. Release. Come up all the way. Reach up. Hands to heart center. Pause, take a breath. Just check in. Feeling like hot yoga in here for me today, so a little bit sweaty, it's okay. We're going to do a little bit more of a balance work. You might want your blocks for this, so have those at the front of your mat. I will show you facing you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a figure 4 sit, just a hip stretch, and we're going to sit back, and you might want to fold to your blocks. I'm just showing you before we go. And from that figure 4, we're going to wrap it into an eagle pose. We'll all do it together, but I wanted to show you what the journey will look like. So have those blocks in front of you in case you want to practice folding down. Let's ground into the left foot, spread the toes. This will be our standing leg. Cross that right ankle over. Flex that foot so that ankle's nice and flat. And this might be plenty if you want to start to sit back and start reaching those hips straight back and down, hinging right at the hip crease, getting a little bit deeper stretch in the hip. You might just stay here. This is pretty good for me, but I feel like I could go a little further. So if you want to play with taking those hands down, some people love to get the hip stretch they get here. You can start to reach the arms inside that front shin, maybe coming to the blocks or a block. Trying to keep my spine still nice and long here. It's feeling pretty good right there. And some yogis, if you want to try that, you have a moment here to come all the way down and maybe start to come into a bit of an arm balance by shifting forward and taking that back foot, finding some flight. Breathing wherever you are. Yeah, we're going to start to come up, so wherever you are, start to make your way up because we have a little bit more to do on this leg. We'll start to unwind this. If you can, keep this leg up before we keep working this right leg. We're going to wrap it around for eagle legs. So you probably have to bend a little bit. Maybe you can even wrap those toes. You want to get those hips both forward again. So if wrapping the toes prevents you from doing that, just keep that foot loose so those both hips are forward. Key to this is wrapping the thighs tight so there's no space. It'll be more stable. And I'm going to extend the arms. I have my left leg over, so this opposite arm's going to go under. I was mirroring you, but right now this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to wrap my right arm under. You guys probably opposite. Give yourself a little hug, forearms together. And then if you can, you're going to bring the palms together, but if you lose the openness of the hands, just keep the backs of the hands together. Good. And once you have that wrap, keep the shoulders working down. Elbows can start to work up and hands forward. Big shoulder stretch. Breathe wherever you are. Yes, this standing leg is getting tired. Now you start to come out. Big flourish with your eagle. And shake it out. Good. Garudasana. All right, we're going to do the second side. So left leg becomes your standing leg. And we're going to come into that hip stretch first. So let's bring that front, that top ankle over, sit back. And you can keep hands on hips so you can kind of support yourself. Just don't press down too much on the knee. You want to lengthen that knee away. It's like you're sitting in a little chair, and just make sure this is an active foot on top. If you fall out, just come right back into it with a little sense of humor. Because what else do we have right now but that? And just smile. Maybe you start to work it down into that Galavasana version. Maybe even playing with a arm balance. This side's definitely tighter for me, so just notice what you notice for your body. Breathing here. We took a little time on the first side, so we don't want to give short shrift to the second side. And we're going to start to come out, coming into Garudasana. Let that leg come all the way across, maybe hooking the feet. This for me, I can't get my hips square, so I'm going to leave it unhooked and just squeeze the thighs together. Opposite arm's going to go under. Hug. Backs of hands, maybe palms for eagle arms. Some yogis like to take the knees to the elbows to the knees here to nest your eagle. So I didn't give you that option the first side, but if you like to play there, you can. It's a little more challenging. And breathing wherever you are. And let's come out because I'm ready. All right. And just shake it out. Maybe you can just swing it out a little bit. Good. Shake it out. All right, we're going to take a wide-legged stance. We're going to work a little more balance and standing poses. So take your block by your left foot if you're using a block for half moon, because we're going to end up coming into half moon balance. And let's start with a wide stance just to set up our foundation. And then turn out that left foot 90 degrees, allowing heel to arch, and that back foot blade edges parallel still or slightly in. We're going to come to triangle pose first, so keeping this front leg super straight and strong, pressing to that left big toe mound. Start to extend. And then when I can't reach any further, I'm just going to bring my hand down to shin or block. So this hamstring is kind of preventing me from going further this way. If I go lower, I'm just going to lose this whole side body length. I'd rather stay up a little bit higher and keep this nice openness across my heart. You can keep your hand on your hip, your sacrum, or extend that top arm to the sky for extended triangle. Utthita Trikonasana. And again, you can look wherever it feels good. You can look down, you can look up. I often like to keep my hand on my hip for this. It just feels better for my shoulder. We're going to come into half moon balance from here. So if you have your hand up, just bring it back to your hip. Look towards that front foot. Start to bend, shift the weight forward. This block's going to go to a diagonal of their front foot, under the shoulder. Watch out for anything by your head. And come into half moon balance. Lots of options here, so you can extend that arm to the sky. This back foot is flexed. And my hand supporting myself under the shoulder. Here's another place where you can play with that bind. So you want to reach back and find an ankle like we did earlier and open it up. Maybe turn the gaze to the sky. It'll be a little more challenging. Breathe. Good. We're going to start to release that and make our way back out. So we're going to reverse this into triangle. Float like that graceful butterfly you are. Your Trikonasana. And all the way up. Good. I'm just going to change sides. So let's start with that wide-legged stance again. This right foot turns out. Check that blade edge. Start to hinge at this front hip. Pelvis tilts back. Reach. hand down. Maybe you can hear my dogs barking. This is real life. Extend the arm or keep it on your hip. Breathe long. Side bodies, both right and left. And then if you're playing with that balance today, start to bring that top hand down, lift towards the front foot, bend, tiptoe, extend. Maybe you fall out, maybe you have to come back into it. Maybe you take that bind. And some things are possible on one side, not the other. So what's possible on this side in this moment? Try and have some fun with it. Good. Let's make our way back out, extend, bend, back through Trikonasana, and all the way up. Good. Step it in, shake it out. Come back to the top of your mat and just check in for a moment. Just come to mountain pose, Tadasana. Check your feet. Sometimes they're not doing what we think they are. So for me, I can see this video. I'm like, oh, that's what's happening. I just find a moment of centering yourself in your breath. Notice what's happening mentally, emotionally. Notice if you've wandered off to that grocery list that may look a lot different these days, or what tomorrow looks like. And just come back to this moment. It's the only moment we can experience is this moment. Not the what ifs, not the if onlys, not the regrets. Let's be right here. Go ahead and release your hands, shake out the hips a little bit. I'm going to come to sit. So you might want something to sit on. We're going to come to Dandasana, staff pose. And for me, it helps to have a little bit of height under my hips. Just because I have a hard time with my pelvis tilting backwards. So having that little bit of height helps me stay long through the spine. It's still difficult for me, so I can even have a little bit of a knee bend, but working where you need to work. So on your staff pose, you're gonna bring those toes back towards you, flex the toes back towards you a little bit, so the legs are nice and active, and then bring the hands right next to your hips, either flat palms or shoulders, and try and find that nice tall spine. Stacking the spine, the head on top of the shoulders so the spine's long. Lift. This is one of the poses for me that is so difficult and doesn't look like much, but if everything's active and you're really working on lengthening the spine, it can be quite a bit of work. Just breathing wherever you are. Good. From here, I'm just going to face you. You're going to come into a seated twist. Let's keep that left leg extended and cross the right leg over. Get nice and tall so both hips are still down, both hip points are still down. And you can either keep this bottom leg extended, or you can tuck it in so that left foot's next to that right hip. We're coming into a seated twist. So I prefer it like this with that foot tucked in, but you can keep it extended as well. Hug in, get tall. So you want to keep that spine tall, so I'm not rolling back. I'm still nice and have that long neutral spine. I'm going to start to turn towards your right. This left arm can just keep holding the outside of the right knee. This right arm behind me, I'm on fingertips so I can help roll that shoulder back and keep tall. If you like to add, you can hook that elbow on the outside of that right knee, or just keep hugging it in. To me, today it feels good just to hug in here. And you just start to turn, so you can start to start your twist low, so that the belly and Just feel each vertebra, maybe even independently turning as you rotate the entire spine. The gaze can turn. And with each breath, just feel that rotation increasing a little bit. Each inhale, you can lengthen up. And each exhale, turn a little more. And let the gaze extend that expansion all the way through the cervical spine, that rotation. Good. Let yourself start to unwind. Let's take a quick counter twist, gentle, and then take both legs forward and shake it out. And do the same thing on the second side. I'll face to the side this time. So switch sides. I think you guys should have your left leg over. Hug in. Get tall. And again, this left arm behind me is going to help on fingertips to just get that shoulder tall and keep that back from rolling, that spine from rolling back. So nice long spine, start to turn. Again, I'm going to tuck my leg in. You can hook the elbow if you like. And use your breath to help you rotate. And just keep turning. I don't know what side I'm on anymore. Hopefully you guys are on the proper side. I think I just did this way. Let's take a couple more rounds of breaths. You can turn a little bit more. It should feel good. Nothing should feel pinchy or uncomfortable. And just come out a little bit if you need to. Start to unwind yourself. Take a quick counter twist. And go ahead and release both legs forward and shake it out. We're going to come all the way to our backs, and before we do, just have your strap nearby, and also have anything you'd want for a Shavasana. So if you'd like a blanket for covering up, or a pillow, or anything like that, definitely have your strap, something that'll help you reach your foot nearby. And then from this straight-legged Dandasana, we're just going to start to roll down. So just tuck the pelvis, see if you can keep a little engagement. As you come all the way down, legs are strong. Let yourself come all the way to your back. Just take a moment to rest. Let's take some windshield wipers with the knees. Bring the knees to bend, feet wide. Let the knees fall in towards one another. And then let the knees rock all the way to the right, all the way to the left. Just rolling over the blade edges of the feet and lengthening that top knee away. So not pressing it down, but lengthening away as you rock to the sides. And you can keep moving, or you can pause. It's feeling kind of good to me to pause, and just notice differences side to side as well. I'm going to do let's stretch on our backs here with our strap. Supine Supta Padangusthasana, so we hand to foot pose. Let's start by hooking the right foot with the strap. Some yogis can actually grab their toe with their hand and keep the leg long. I need a little help for my arms, so I'm going to use this strap. And this left leg can keep bent with the foot on the ground to be a little more gentle, or you can extend that leg long. If you have it extended, we're working on keeping that inner thigh down, foot active, so this whole leg is active. It's not just hanging out. We're actively working that inner thigh down. Maybe even the thigh can touch the back of touch the mat. And then little softness in the back of the knee, you start to work that foot towards you. You're keeping this thigh away. So a little hamstring stretch. I like to have a strap, one in each side, and try and keep my arms pretty long. Sometimes we're just really gripping so hard with our wrists here that it becomes a lot of work on the wrist. So try and keep, a little bit of softness in the hands. We are working to hold onto the strap, but some people like to wrap it too, which kind of gives you a little more room for the hands to relax. It actually feels pretty good. I'm going to take that strap into the right hand, and you start to open that leg out. So I can extend my left arm to help me kind of counterbalance, and just start to bring that leg out as much as feels good to you. You might come all the way open. I rest my elbow on the earth to help myself support the leg. And you can let that thigh externally rotate. Make it feel good. Again, I keep noticing I let this leg kind of go loose, so I'm going to keep activating that left leg. Let's go ahead and come back to center. And switch your grip to the left hand. And before you come all the way over into a twist, come up, keep that right hip grounded and let that leg come across the midline just a couple, maybe 4 inches until you get that outer IT band stretch. You'll know it when you find it. It'll be pretty intense. Just breathe there for a couple rounds of breath. And then when you're done with that, you've had enough of that, make it a little sweeter by letting that leg come all the way over. You can extend the opposite arm, come into that big twist. You can look towards that right arm. And that leg can stay straight or it can bend. Just make it feel good. And breathe. And start to make our way back to center. I'm just going to go right into the second side. So again, hooking that left foot now. And once you get that hook, let the shoulders come back down to the earth so everything's supported. Leg can extend or stay bent. Maybe you can wrap the hands, give your wrists a little bit of a break. Working that hip crease away and that foot towards you. Little micro bend in the knee. And breathe. Let's take it out to the side, so take your grip, switch your grip to the left hand. Opposite arm can extend, start to bring that leg out as far as feels good. You can also work that foot closer towards your head. Make sure there's no pinching in your low back. It should feel good. And then let's bring it back up towards the midline, switch your grip again, and come just across. Ooh, this side's even tighter. You might feel it all the way through the outer leg. Still keeping active legs, active feet. Breathe here. And then when you're done with that, just let that leg go. Come to a big, sweet twist. And you can turn the gaze to look over that left hand. And just hold here and breathe. And stay for a couple more rounds of breath here. And as you're ready, Unwind yourself, come back to center, and just hug both knees in. Give yourself a hug. Rock. Let's hug in the right knee nice and tight. Extend the left leg or keep the foot on the floor. Give yourself a nice squeeze. Squeezing that knee in towards your armpit. Release that side, squeeze in the left knee. And hug both knees in, rock. And then you can take any last poses you would like before Shavasana. If you'd like to take a happy baby, that would probably feel pretty good. People like to take a plow pose or shoulder stand here, or any other movements. I'm going to do a couple little baby bridges. Again, any last movements, poses that would help you feel complete in your practice and ready to rest into your Shavasana. And when you're ready for your Shavasana, taking any props that would feel good to help you feel nice and especially open through the low back. So if traditional corpse pose where we're just completely unsupported, arms at a low V, legs spread as wide as your mat, feet open is the most traditional expression of corpse pose. Sometimes this puts some pressure in the low back. So in that case, a little blanket roll under the knees is really nice, and usually if there is any pressure, that'll alleviate that by having that little bit of height under the knees. If you like to layer another blanket over, you can cover yourself up. I'm just gonna, sometimes we kind of stop the video here and tell you to just stay for few minutes, but we will just stay here together in a nice corpse pose. And as you continue to settle in here, letting go of any work, any control of your breath, your practice is complete. There's nothing to do, there's nothing to fix, nowhere else to be. Just allow yourself to be soft. Let everything go. Let the back of your head get heavy. Let your eyes rest back into the sockets away from the lids. And soften the jaw. Let the cheeks relax. The teeth gently part in the mouth. Feel the neck nice and long, open, throat clear for clear communication. Feel the broadness of the collarbones, let the arm bones get heavy, the hands and forearms be heavy, as if the hands would be hard to lift. Really grounded. The rib cage soften, feel the whole back just expand into the earth. Lots of surface area. Feel the low ribs in contact with the earth and the back, the whole back body. Let the belly stay soft. Soften the hips, releasing all the gripping or tension through the pelvis, through the hips. Release the big muscles of the legs, soften the buttocks, the thighs and the hamstrings. Soften your knee joints, right, left. Soften the shin bones. Release your calf muscles, right and left. Soften through your ankle joints. Release through all the tiny bones in the feet, 26 in the right foot, 26 in the left, all the way to the tips of the toes, completely letting go. Just let yourself melt. As you're resting, I'm going to read a poem by Danielle Dobie. This is called I Am Her Tribe. And incidentally, she is going through cancer treatment right now, chemotherapy, so sending love out to this woman who writes this amazing poetry that really inspires me, and I use a lot in class as well. But this is called To Clear the River. Friction doesn't have to be some dark and scary thing we should avoid eye contact with. Without it, there would be no change. Friction is what pulls our greatness out from under the sheets. It calls us from our darkest corners of hiding and invites us to grow from our broken cracks and crevices. Sometimes this looks like letting go, and sometimes even letting in. Friction breaks our hearts open to a new capacity for receiving. It brings us down to our knees of clarity, allowing us to gather what is left in our hands, only opening our palms wide enough to hold what's of value and in alignment with who we are now. And here, after we have cleared the river, we emerge into a being that is softer, stronger, more loving, and grateful. It is our most challenging seasons that serve as our greatest teachers. It's called To Clear the River. If you're ready to come out of your rest, you can start to wiggle fingers and toes and bring a little movement into the small parts of your body. You're also welcome to just stay where you are as long as you like. And as you deepen your breath and expand your awareness, you can let those movements get a little bigger, a little more expressive. Stretching what wants to stretch, maybe a big full body stretch. Coming all the way to your side. In a fetal position, taking a moment to just curl into your own heart. Check in what's true for you today, what's in alignment with who you are now, different than the person you were yesterday. What's true now? Always open to that being different tomorrow and the next day. Eventually using the strength of your arms, just come all the way up as if we were together physically, coming up together and sitting up tall, bringing your hands to the space of your heart in Anjali Mudra. Let your thumbs press into that space, that heart center that's capable of infinite compassion for yourself and for others. Let's extend that loving kindness out to all beings. Wishing all beings to be safe, fed, healthy, at ease as much as possible in this moment. And sending that back to yourself. And thank you all so much for joining me and being part of this Shine Yoga family. And with that deep gratitude, I bow to each of you. Namaste. Thanks, everybody. Come back and see us again. See you on the other side.